make sure you listen to my daddy's podcast right now. It's the best show in the world.
You gotta strive for it. Yeah, get up your ass and go and grind for it. Hey, my little doggy doing time for it. Yeah, black man trying to survive, Lord. They don't wanna see us make it quick and break us down. Then we got these jealous niggas flying, trying to take us out. Got me boxing with my demons, trying not to spaz out. How the fuck they doing so living in a glass house? Make that make sense. Even when it's hard, nigga, I gotta pay rent and provide. That's the basics. If you ain't adding to my table, don't you say shit. Get off your ass, it only makes sense. Cause hating on me ain't it. And don't be looking for sympathy, cause you broke, nigga. In the world, sink or swim, stay afloat, nigga. Many ways to get in, hope just give you hope, nigga. Granted, sorry, my favorite quote, nigga. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is episode number 20 of the Cards Face Up podcast. I am your host, Mr. Ty Hill. That song right there was GOS Mafio, Keep Hustling. Today I have along three great people. Their name is Miss Sydney Santana,
Hey guys.
Miss Courtney G, and Mr. Dante Wall, whatever you want to call him, Angry Black Man, whatever you want to call him today.
I don't know what that fits.
So, we have them along with us today. How's y'all week been going? You know, I always got to check on the mental health of people. How's y'all week going? COVID still around, flu season coming up upon us. How y'all doing?
It got better around 12 o'clock yesterday.
When Joe Biden won the election.
Yeah, when they finished that whole thing out.
Yes.
Yes.
It was a great week.
Agreed.
Now my fingernails can grow back.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Weather
It's
was
beautiful
really nice
outside.
yesterday.
It's good today.
It is.
Oh, let me go
Definitely.
outside then.
It was a very, very, very good day for America. Hey, how the fuck is Trump still saying that people are cheating when it's fucking celebrations for this man being not winning in every state damn near.
Right.
But see, that's the principal
Like, what the
point.
fuck is they imaginary people?
That's the principal point. I mean, you have Rudy Giuliani go in there and say that no, you can find 700,000 votes that somebody may have made up. So you got the counting the votes inside of rooms with cameras on them, but some kind of way you get almost 1 million votes that you're saying somebody just made up. Like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, because their people weren't allowed to be like directly on top of somebody counting.
Right.
So they did something wrong.
I was 5 extra feet away. They could have done anything. No.
So, although social distance is 6 feet anyway, but whatever.
Right.
Yeah, that whole shit. I mean, honestly, if you had any love for Trump or whatever the fuck it was, it's like, how can you not see during this whole counting of the ballots and stuff like that, not see him throw everything out there that's really the problem with him? I mean, from the temper tantrums, from the judgmental ways, from the what's that word, narcissistic ways, everything. Like, it was there, it was put in front of your face again, just for one last time, which should have been a spit in your face, like, fuck, I really voted for this guy.
But that's how they've been the entire 4 years. I mean, you know, the whole thing, and I've talked about this a lot. The whole thing about, you know, teaching kids right and wrong, being good, don't have temper tantrums, use your words, articulate, you know, speak clearly. All of that stuff went out the window. You know, the whole thing about family values, piety, all of that went out the window with him. So it doesn't matter if you're evangelical, if you are black, white, whatever color you are, for you to look at this guy after leading a life in America and telling your kids or being told to be good and honest and all of this stuff, and you look at this guy and say, no, this is the one, then something's wrong with you. That's your flaw. That you're okay with throwing it all out the window.
And I think we stayed away from, you know, kind of bend people to vote certain ways on this podcast. We really ain't go into that or no in depth. I don't even believe we said who we were voting for most of the time. But I damn sure wasn't voting for Trump. And you feel
clearly
me?
it's clear.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a good person.
Right. Got some morals, a
man,
little bit of standards.
Like my man Midas said, when he came on this episode, on one of my episodes, he spoke about, and he's the Secretary of Shade and shit, and he spoke about Biden being a stop the bleeding type president versus a change president. And I think that's one of the best things for this shit, because I totally agree. I don't know how much change I'm expecting him to do, especially if we don't get the Senate. And I haven't checked today to see where that race is going, but I don't know how much change I'm expecting. But god damn, if we don't need a fucking band-aid on America right now, like shit is
Right.
ugly. Shit is
Right.
ugly. And then this whole presidential race made it even more ugly because the separation and division upon races and things of that sort, man, it just made it bad. And I really loved what they said yesterday. Unlike most presidential speeches, presidential elect speeches, they usually say, look, I'm here to do my job type thing. You feel me? I'm gonna be the president y'all need, XYZ. Yo came on like, basically we're all gonna have to bend and fold a little bit, and compromise with each other.
Right.
Because we're all in a fucked up position and don't really know. I mean, we've never seen this. I hope that they fucking at least open up the goddamn book of what to do with COVID and any type of fucking pandemic.
Well, he was
like,
there for the last one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
what I'm
I
saying.
don't
At
think
least
that's
they
gonna be
open
an
that
issue.
shit.
It's like Obama said, we gave them a clear-cut plan for how to handle epidemics. He said, I don't know what they did with it. I don't know if they put it under a wobbly table leg or whatever, but they completely just didn't follow any of the guidelines that were already laid out. Remember, we had, was it Ebola that it came here? I think one or
Ebola,
two people died.
H1N1.
Right.
H1N1.
Right.
I ain't gonna
So
lie
the
though, that shit
plan
was
was
a lot
already there.
easier. I ain't gonna lie, that shit was a lot easier, and I'm not gonna say because of the deaths, because I don't recall how many deaths off top or whatever. It could have been more, it could have been less. But what I can say is, it was a lot fucking easier to deal with without social media. Yo, social media is the devil sometimes. That shit be right in your face, like, nigga, remember me? Don't forget me. I'm right here, nigga. Look. Yo, it'd be like, god damn. I stopped watching the news for years. And it's like, with social media, you literally don't even need the news no more. But I'm gonna tell you some real shit, and I want to get y'all opinion on this shit. Ply spoke on he did a tweet and he said, "Dear Coon Squad,
oh yeah, I saw it.
Moving forward, we don't want y'all music, movies, shoes, or nothing y'all associated with. Y'all chose a side, now stay there. See how many meetings he'll take with y'all now."
Right.
And I was like, yeah, that's dope. And I usually don't judge people for what they do outside of their music and things of that sort. You feel me? But what y'all think about that? Is he right? Are we at that point of, man, fuck y'all, all the people that and he called them Coon Squad, whether or not I agree with that word. But I thought it was a very fitting title, depending upon if that's, for what he's trying to put out there. And he didn't name no names, and I see a lot of people are naming names. They putting the pictures up. You got Shaq, you got Waka Flocka, you got who else? Who else seen the pictures? It was
I
a
didn't know
bunch of
Shaq was in
people.
there.
Lil Wayne.
Ice Cube,
Wow.
50
Lil Wayne.
Cent, Lil
Yeah.
Wayne.
Yeah, Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
But I
50
don't
Cent took it
really-
back.
Kanye
50 Cent
West.
said he was joking.
I don't understand why Cube was a part of it. I think that Cube publicly said that he didn't endorse Trump. And
Right.
he basically was just saying that he's tired of the Democratic nominees feeling like they just automatically get the black vote because they're Democrats.
Right.
And the contract with Black America was to bring awareness like, hey, before you get our vote, this is what we need you to promise you can do for us because you have to
They
earn
earn
our
it.
vote at this
Right.
point. So I don't
Right.
really think
Can Cube
Cube
ever-
belonged there.
Can Cube, and that's why I said that that list
Yeah.
was for Gazy, you feel me? I don't know if Plies actually put that list up, because when I went to search it myself, I didn't see Plies actually put that list. I think people are adding their own into it. Again,
Okay.
I think when it comes to Cube, can Cube really do any wrong in our eyes? Nigga, he gave
No,
us
he
fuck the
gonna
police.
still he's still my favorite, or one of my
Yeah, he
favorites.
gave us fuck the police. It's like it's he stood up during a time of equal injustice, like me, trying to get equality and the same fights that we're having now.
Right.
He was out there in the forefront back in 92, 91 when that shit, we talking riots and shit
Rodney
like that.
King,
And I don't
thought
mean
that was
riots
80, 89. Like that was 90. Well.
Yeah, it was
I think
late
Rodney
80s.
King was 90.
Yeah, Rodney King was, I think, 90.
Oh, yeah,
I was
Rodney
gonna
King
say, I
was
thought
later.
it was like the late 80s, but
I
it was
think the Rodney King riots was 92.
Yeah, I did think that was
and
in
the
the 90s.
NWA came out in late 80s, and Rodney
88,
King was early
87.
90s.
Yeah, so we have riots now. No offense to what people rioting for and things of that sort. You feel me? But that riots, man, them motherfuckers set up. What Pac say? If we don't, what he say? If you don't respect us now, we'll burn it down.
We'll
Like they
burn
was
it down.
burning the whole fucking city down. Like that shit was real. So do y'all are y'all rocking with them as far as is y'all shutting people down like Lil Wayne? I mean, who came out, which is fucking weird because Wayne.
Yeah, I don't
understand
why he did that.
I was
That
saying
was
his
really
daughter
bad.
came out. his daughter came out and said that she want an apology from anybody that's voted for him or some shit like that. I'm like, nigga, your father did it. What the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
You probably want one from him too. But
Yeah, she better,
you,
better not. She ain't had
It's
no
the
job for her whole life. She better love anything that nigga do.
Right.
Fuck.
Definitely know him
yeah, I know,
well.
right? But you know, it's kind
Understand
of
this.
like
If
you
my
just
father was financially taking care of me for my whole fucking life as an adult, check this out. Whatever he voting for, I'm voting for. Whatever make you happy, Dad, I'm here for it.
I
Keep
might
that
tell him
check
one thing
coming.
and do something different.
Fuck that. I'm all with you, Dad. When we
But
doing all that.
it's like what you just said when you said, well, people almost don't need the news anymore because they got social media, and that's the double-edged sword because you get a lot of information coming from a lot of different places, but a lot of it is bull,
It's
and
wrong, yeah.
people don't know. So it's almost like, do you fault the person that's been fed so much bad information that is running on it? You know, because if half the stuff that I heard the makeup was true, I'd be angry too. The problem is that
Mhm.
they completely misled. So what do you do with a person that's
Right.
been bamboozled into thinking that you know that some of that stuff was real?
I mean, I
It's a
think
Right.
what you have to,
problem.
if you're gonna spread it, I feel like when you hear something, if you don't know, you should research it before you spread it, because you
But where do
could,
you
like you said,
research it if you used to go to different websites? You don't know the good from the bad.
I mean, I think you have to. I think at that point, you should be a little bit more reserved in what you put out there, because I feel like when you
Right.
speak on something, you should be able to speak with conviction and know what you're saying is a fact or something true. Like the I don't call him the president, I call him 45, but like 45 saying stuff like, the election is rigged, but there's no evidence behind why you say
Right.
that. Just because your people couldn't see allegedly what was going on, you're spitting out false information and it's making a mockery of democracy. But you have people who will go, and then because they are 45 supporters will repeat that information. It's like, well, where you get that from? And it's just
Yeah.
like a blank stare. So
Well,
it's like,
I
I
just
think
think people should make their own minds up. It's like what?
correct.
Wait a minute. You can't say a truth and a lie and just give somebody say, oh, well, pick one.
Sure.
No,
Right.
it
Well, I think the
it's
biggest
crazy.
thing with going to get fucking facts now is it. All right, so what did we come up with? What was the word? A rumor spreads 5 times. What was it? 5 or 6
Yeah,
times
before the
faster than the
truth gets
truth, right?
around once.
All right,
Right.
right. So if we know that to be fact, right? That's also written on the internet. So people's source of information is still coming from a place that is not factual based either. So you feel me? So you got 6 people to every one person writing
Right.
this is true, and that's Googleable.
And
Google.
sensationalism
How do you
sells.
say it?
Anything that
Googleable?
sounds good.
Googleable.
Yeah, that's Googleable. So, and most of us research now is done through Google. I was looking and they
Right.
planned this shit. I was looking at a movie. I forgot what it was. That shit was like 08 or some shit. And they was like, you could just Google it. And I was like, oh, they've been planning this shit for
Yeah,
a minute.
it's
Because in
been a minute.
2020,
Yeah,
that's literally how we study everything now. I tell the
advertising
kids,
works.
I tell my students, I be mad as shit with my ex-students. I used to be like, yo, how the fuck are you failing when you have Google? It's no way. I'm gonna get caught cheating on my schoolwork. Sorry, parents. I know y'all would hate to hear this, but before I get a fucking 0 for not knowing it, I'd rather get a phone call home. Your son was caught with his phone again.
Right.
Googling the
Right.
answer. The fuck? I done Googled math problems and all that shit.
Yeah,
So
and they the exact same problem. I
Yep.
applaud the people that put it on there. When I was helping
Yeah.
my ex girl with some calculus, it was like that's how she found a lot of stuff. It's like
Yeah.
figure this.
Quizlet is
Statistics.
crazy.
It was statistics.
so look, I don't want to stay on this Trump shit. We got Biden in the office. Shout out to Biden.
Yes,
And Kamala.
fix the
You feel me?
world.
We gotta put that in there.
Kamala?
Let's
Pamela?
ain't
Did you call her
Kamala?
how do
Kamala?
you how
It's
do you say it?
Kamala.
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 Shout out to her.
Kamala,
I
right?
wasn't born with her.
Yo
Say
say
it again,
Kamala.
It's Kamala.
Check this out. Say it again. Say it again.
Kamala Harris.
Kamala.
Okay. Look,
Because
my
why we
vice
saying the right
president.
thing and they say
My
it
vice
wrong?
president is Kamala,
up.
but we're gonna run with it.
So all right.
I call her
one of y'all
Cam. I
said
mean, when we dated, it was
one of
Cam.
y'all said Kamala. One of y'all saying Kamala. What did I
It's
say?
Kamala.
What did I say?
You said
Kamala.
I think you called her
You
Mookie.
said Kamala.
So I said Kamala,
Yes.
and Dante says Kamala.
Yes.
I thought it was
And
Kamala.
Me and
It's
Sydney are the only people saying it right.
Kamala is a 6'4"
Kamala.
dude.
No, because her
Kamala
mom
is my vice president.
No, her mom was Chamala. Her mom was India. Her mom's name was Chamala. Her name is Kamala. Seriously.
Right. And her father's
Did
like
you just say
Jamaican or
Mecca like a
something.
high Mecca honey ho?
Look, shout out to them because we rocking with them. Let's get it. Hey, y'all, I want to tell y'all something personal because I like to always give y'all something personal. So I had sex yesterday, right?
All right.
Do your girl know?
Yeah, she knows. She was there.
Why would
So
I
look.
say yikes?
Look, I had sex yesterday, right? And it was not that we don't always have sex, but it was look at her face right now. It's funny.
I am
But
so annoyed.
it was no listen to me. It was fucking sex without the kids in the house. So it was
So
like
you
having,
could you could
it was
swing
like,
from the ceiling fan.
exactly. So
That's
look,
a good one.
I'm no listen. The kids was gone, right? So we usually have sex, as parents, you feel me, of two toddlers, the kids are usually in the house.
Yep.
So you're trying to do certain shit.
Squeaky.
So I'm
So it's
looking,
like
I'm
10 pumps.
I'm
What was
putting
that
in my
sound?
work. Now listen to me. I know Dante said, swing from the fan and all that shit. Check me in. I'm gonna get it in whether they hear or not. I'm putting in the same energy, right? And I'm like, I'm in there doing my motherfucking thing, right? This is funny, y'all, because our listeners don't know. Y'all got to tune on to the YouTube right now and look at my little cousin who is G. Her face right now is funny as fuck. But anyway, so, I'm in there putting in my work. I'm doing the Ty Hill thing. I got the Ty Hill two-step in it. So that's what I'm doing. That's my favorite move. But anyway, she's making extra noises, right? And the noise level is higher and higher and higher. So I'm enjoying it. As a man, we like to know that we putting in work like, oh, she's enjoying this. I'm doing my thing. Then I started thinking, like, she's extra loud. And I'm like, this shit got to be fake because I don't do nothing different when the kids here. So how the fuck is she extra loud right now? But when the kids here, she can all of a sudden be fucking quiet.
It for you. She was like, no, we're going to enjoy this moment alone. And just start screaming.
Shout out to Keish. Go, girl.
I ain't even start yet. The hell you screaming all loud for?
I'm looking, and I just looking at her like, fake ass motherfucker.
And knowing y'all probably bust out laughing in the middle of it because y'all are annoying.
Yeah, we are a goofy fucking crew.
I can only imagine.
We done definitely bust out in the middle of sex laughing.
I am sure. Probably cracking on each other. Irky as fuck.
I just thought that shit was funny, right? Because I realized that yesterday, like, yeah, it just isn't. I don't think sex is honest.
But at the same time,
she wanted to make you feel good because last week we had an episode about the dildos and how you can't do nothing with it. Maybe she was saying, let me let him know.
What? Maybe she was saying she'd rather have a dildo.
No, I said maybe. I said
remember
maybe
last week's episode was pussy pocket pussy.
I know. Oh, so you won't go straying around to some plastic artificial piece.
That's right. She was letting Ty know you still can do.
Don't you bring that in my damn house?
No.
But look, you know what? You got to shout out the kid because you got to give her credit for holding it in all that time. Like I think this the only time she could be real. Maybe all this other time she was able to handle the bone and still keep the noise down without ruining the kid's childhood.
Because that's the last thing.
I've been losing weight, so things change when you lose weight.
Oh
too,
yeah, hit different.
You if you lose the abdomen, I know that's an extra 2 inches. I think that happened with me too.
I'm extra fat, so I might got another 3-4 inches tucked in that motherfucker.
You gonna pop a navel out like a turkey when it's ready.
That's me. That's me.
Oh my gosh.
Like,
yo,
I got an outie. What the hell did you do?
I never knew. Yeah.
You gotta tape it back in.
Fucking calling the kids from the hospital. Where y'all at? We at the hospital. Had to get mommy belly button pierced. Me fixed.
Might happen again. He said, "Go back over your grandparents' house."
Oh my
God. Real shit. So, man, keep your head up. So what? She's louder when the kid's not there. Of course, it's real.
Yeah. Kudos to you. Good stroking.
Look. So, right now it's Sunday. By the time the fans will get this, we'll be on our new day. It'll be Wednesday. You guys can listen to it on anywhere that you stream your podcast. We are there and also on YouTube. I wanted to discuss the rapper King Von, who passed away Friday morning after being shot outside of Atlantis club. They have arrested Timothy Leaks, who's 22 years old, for the murder, who's currently in the hospital also not also, who's currently in the hospital undergoing treatment for a gunshot wound. Now, I called that out as soon as I saw the video. I don't know if you guys saw the video, but the video of King Von is, him being murdered. That's everywhere, which I hate when they do that shit because it's sad to their family. So I want to send my condolences out to the young king, his family, and everybody involved. Now, with that said, and King Von is crazy because Shorty from Chicago, and I wasn't big on drill. When they came out with drill, that was the Keith Chief era and shit like that. I was a little bit older, so it just and I'm not an amp type person. You feel me? They were amp people, so I'd never been on the drill music. But King Von, I actually started listening to when my little cousin put me on with him. Maybe I'm gonna say about 3 to 4 weeks ago. And I heard Crazy Story. He got a song called Crazy Story. That shit jumps. That made me go ahead and download the rest of his mixtapes. That shit was all hard. I'm like, Shorty raps like what I like about music, storytelling, even though he doing it in that amped up way. But Shorty is rapping about that storytelling shit. It's poetic, He's not afraid to touch certain feelings, you feel me, whether being in love, whether being pressed for a chick. But he talked that street shit too. They keep that pipe and they inside the hood. I mean, Chicago, I don't know what we rarely get a Lupe Fiasco from Chicago when it comes to music. Majority of them are gangbangers or ex-gangbang members and things of that sort. So we know what they are and we know what they do. So when you get a kid like this, 26 years old, he was only 26 years old, you get him murdered leaving out of a lounge. And they was in the middle of a fight. Let me break down a story that I saw. I can only say what I saw in the video. They was in the middle of a fight. It looks like his crew is winning the fight. And then a guy comes around and shoots. King Von, I think it's 2 other people that passed away that was murdered there. And King Von was one of them. So I say this to ask you guys, that's what I wanted the topic to be on, which is hence to my Biggie shirt. You feel me? Rest in peace, Notorious B.I.G. I wanted to know, what did y'all think about hip hop and murder? Because, and I say that because every hip hop came in, Dante, correct me, hip hop is early 80s. I mean, late 70s, but really early 80s when we got on the platform of being seen.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. All right. So
not that
early
I was around.
80s, every decade, I think all of us was around. Damn, Courtney, you was the only one not around.
I wasn't around early 80s. Thank you.
Just put that out there. I'm talking about 80s, not early 80s.
Oh, I wasn't around for the whole 80s. So.
I got a part of the 80s in there. But so we have that, right? But every decade of hip hop has had an artist murdered.
Yeah.
Literally
every year of hip hop, somebody's been murdered.
Yeah. So how much does it come into play with your music, the type of music that you have? And it's opinion based, you feel me? No disrespect to what anybody does. I also did hardcore music. I talked about, they wasn't pipes and they wasn't shit like that, but we talked about guns and we talked about street shit that we was doing in XYZ. So it's no shot at anybody. I just want to know, how much do y'all think the type of music people have actually, the type of music people produce and put out there actually has affected their life in these murder numbers inside the hip hop game? Do y'all think it's a big part of it?
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's a persona. Like, I think that the perception people think of you based on what they hear in your music, they begin to think that's who you are as a person. And I think that sometimes image follows you throughout life, whether it's true or not. That is what people see you as. And because we know perception is reality, if you're rapping a certain thing or you're rapping about a certain lifestyle, whether you live it or not, I'm thinking as the consumer, this is what his life is about. So when certain things happen, it almost like it comes with the territory. And you may be the complete opposite, but that's the perception. That's what you want people to think of you based on how you perceive yourself or how you put yourself out there to be perceived. So it's unfortunate, but I think
I definitely agree with what you're saying. I think that's, if you put that type of energy in that universe, that's just what's going to come back around full circle. You know what I mean? So if you rapping about killing people and doing people wrong and shit like that bad juju is going to follow you, and then it's just going to come back around full circle. I mean, that's the whole thing with Pop Smoke. He was doing all of that, like talking shit and all of that, getting money and guns, and then somebody literally came in and robbed. Like literally, he died talking about the same shit that he was doing. You know what I mean? Like same thing with like Tupac and Biggie. Like they made the song and people just reacted off of emotion, thinking that he was saying. I mean, the song could have been about him. You know, we don't know, but because that's how they took it, because of what he was talking about, it just was automatic go for we need to off this nigga's head. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like maybe if he wouldn't have had the song, maybe you know they wouldn't have shot at him. You know what I mean? We don't know. Like
Pac, what's the name? I totally agree with what you're saying. See, but I know Pac's situation was different. Pac got involved with gang business.
Yeah, and he touted it.
Yeah, they jumped Orlando Anderson. Pac was living a life that I wish Pac wasn't. You know, trying to fit in. But
I wish he'd have completely avoided that whole part of it.
Yeah, that part of it. You know, he pushed it. But let's say that he did avoid that. All right, so let's say Pac did avoid all the gang shit. You know, shit like that. Where does that put you at on your reputation? Like, all right, so when you see Steven Seagal, niggas want autographs, right?
Right.
I've never seen nobody on the news. Oh my God, Steven Seagal.
Well, he's a Trump guy, so I don't.
Right. No, but listen, no, I've never seen it on the news. Oh my God, breaking news! Steven Seagal drop kicked just walking down the street. Like nobody fucking tries to drop kick that man, although he's known for doing karate in every fucking move. Nobody tests that shit.
Well, see, that's
so why are we in our community? And yes, I give hip hop and apologies. No, I'm unapologetic for that. I give hip hop to our community. So in our community, why do we hold them to such high standards? All right, I understand. You feel me? If a nigga is known for knocking people out one punch, if I get into it with that nigga, I'm swinging first. I'm not giving you a chance to hit
swing on Kimbo. Back in the day, you was swung on Kimbo.
But that's the same thing with Baby. But Baby is known for knocking people out, and people keep trying him, and he keeps getting in trouble for knocking people out.
I think it's about exposure. It still comes back down to exposure. You know, it's just like who was that? T.I. Whoever got caught with the guns and everything. I feel like this. Right, yes, true, right. If you at a place in your life where you got enough fame and notoriety and you got enough money, you should be able to have people around you, not just your regular, you know, entourage, but you should have people around you that's there to protect you. I don't care if you consider it like your own Secret Service. There's not a gun that a person with a felony should have on them when you can have a shooter beside you that got everything and can protect you from any and all nonsense. You know what I mean? For you to go into a club and expose yourself to regular people when you know you put negative stuff out there is you put yourself you know that you're in a dangerous situation. You don't have to be. So if you can perform and then go and do what you got to do, I don't think you need to be that exposed to regular everyday people.
I agree to an extent. Now with him, from what the news is reporting, you feel me? It was a shootout back and forth from both sides. So they had theirs on them too. But I mean, we come from Baltimore City. I see niggas die every day with guns on them.
Yeah.
Having your gun on you doesn't mean necessarily you get to live. And I get totally what you're saying about having certain.
All right, so don't even be there.
I know the way that you. All right, so let's keep in mind. I know the way that you would think of. You know, we used to leave the clubs, for instance, and me and my lady was just now talking about that shit. We used to leave certain clubs in certain neighborhoods, and there's certain niggas outside waiting for us, you feel me, from my side, just so that I know we're good, you feel me, just to make sure that we're straight. So when we're walking out, but keep in mind, in my head, I thought that was protection, right? But keep in mind, my niggas is feet, you know, certain distance away. If somebody coming and got the drop on me, I'm still getting hit right there. You know, I'm still getting hit, whether they jump in or not. You get what I'm saying? Now, you might get hit after you fucking hit me, but I'm still getting hit. Unless I'm walking around with a bulletproof helmet on and a bulletproof fucking jacket on, it's literally no way to avoid, and I understand staying out those situations. Right now, me being who I am, I can stay out of those situations. You feel me? I ain't got to go to the clubs. I ain't got to be in the hood. I ain't got to do those things if I choose to. But when you're doing music, you have to be in these environments. You have to. Now, with his shit, it was a lounge, so it's a little different. I don't know what they was doing at the lounge. I do know he just now dropped Welcome to O Block, which he could have been out promoting it. I mean, you have to move a certain way. You have to promote. So you're doing music according to, all right, so niggas always ask me why I stopped music. You feel me? I stopped music, and some would say, you were still young, you could have still made it. I'm like, yo, I lost love for what the game was offering. It wasn't about the music. It was about the people that I wanted to get into it with, and have those backstage moments with and things of that sort. So that environment no longer existed.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't want to be in it. It's just like when I wanted to go to high school and shit, and I got to high school and realized, oh, y'all don't give out Letterman jackets? This shit ain't about to be like Saved by the Bell. What the fuck is you doing? Like,
you can't be
could have got
that.
a jacket if you were
I
on
ain't
a
played not
team.
one motherfucking sport, but I wanted a
You
motherfucking
wanted a
Letterman
jacket.
jacket. I ain't
Coolie
played not
high.
one man. I thought that, what the fuck is wrong with him? Like, I thought
Right.
that shit was normal. So with hip hop, I got in that shit to do. You remember, I don't know if y'all remember the Backstage Rockefeller tour, all of those shit, Up in Smoke tour, when they
Right.
used to show us the backstage. That shit looked fun. Them niggas were shooting
Yeah.
fucking pellet guns, paintball guns and shit. They boxing and shit. These
It's
grown
like
ass
Biggie
men.
said,
That shit
Salt,
looked
Pepper,
fun.
Heavy D up in the limousine. It's like that's the same thing that drove him in there, put him in
Right.
there.
Exactly. So that shit no
Mhm.
longer exists. So I wanted to get the fuck away from it. But these little niggas, what they're spitting today, they're still in it. They still out there in them streets with certain things because that's what they're connected to. And
Right.
that's who their audience is. So you got to go where
Mhm.
your audience is. It's not like you can go to a predominantly white area and actually get your shit off, because a lot of these underground artists right now, like him, they don't have that crossover music yet. Ja Rule can go to another a crossover audience.
Mhm.
Yeah.
50 Cent could do that. It's a lot of artists that can, but these little dudes are really in that street shit, and they talking that street shit, and they talking that shit that sells. So I
And
fully
it's a lot that they
understand.
don't know. Right. I understand. I mean, and musically, even if they're doing well musically, it's a lot. It's a lot that they don't know socially or worldly that kind of puts
It's
them in a
just so
bad position too.
sad because they're all young.
Yeah.
They're literally
They
all in
just
their
want to
early
shine.
20s, like, and they're just dying. You know what I mean? Like, didn't even
Mhm.
start a life, and
That's
they're
the
And
just
sad
thinking
part.
that
They're
Yeah.
so young.
it's a
crazy.
reasonable thing. Because a
It's
lot of times they
crazy.
think that what they go through or the fights they have, the arguments that they have, that it's worth this argument, it's worth this fight, it's
Right.
worth it, and it's be
Right.
nonsense.
I
Mm-hmm.
just think that the younger generation just has so much hostility. Like, they're just so, it's like their whole, what is that, Generation Z? Is that Z? Because
Yeah, I
what
think
am
this is
I?
Z generation. Yep.
Yeah, I think this is Z.
Yeah.
They are like, it's just like they are just angry. Like, it's like the fuse is so short with them. Like, I don't know what's wrong with their entire population, but they are like trained to go. Like, I'm
Well,
serious. Like,
they
they are
have
just
this
and,
thought.
and,
like,
it, and it's also about like stupid stuff. Like it's not
and
even
it's
stuff
it's
that's
not,
like
Yeah.
it's
worse.
over nothing. Like,
Yep.
when I tell you, like, we literally, like, not to even be like on some personal shit, but like literally we were all like at my friend's house, and like her daughter called her and was like, I'm getting banked. Like, we literally flew out the house to like go, you know what I'm saying, go with her to, make sure her daughter's
Mm-hmm.
okay. And literally as soon as we get there, they already got the video, the whole fucking bank shit already all over social media.
Mm-hmm.
And this
Mhm.
lady
And
gotta watch her child getting, you know what I'm saying, banked. Like, that is just, it's just like, and these are like, her child is like literally like a baby girl, like she's like 13. These were high school girls that were banking
Yeah.
her. Like, I mean, come on now. Like, it's just like, what is going on? Like, as a high schooler, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like, even though I know people fought when I was in high school, and I wasn't in high school that long ago, but I just feel like we still were more like, we would have been like, we're not fighting that young ass girl. Like, she 30,
Yeah.
like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
we would have been like, we're not doing that. Like, but they don't care. Like, they don't
Because
care.
you know what, I think a
it
lot of
goes back
times.
to.
Oh,
Go ahead, Ty.
go ahead. Well, I was gonna say, a lot of because of social media, I think a lot of times a post
Yeah.
from a 13-year-old is as effective as a post from an 18-year-old. So it's like, oh, she gonna say this about me. She gonna say that they ready to go fight. I think it was
Not
Mm.
Azalea Banks was arguing with a little kid over
Oh, she's
social media.
terrible.
The girl
She's terrible.
from a show. Yeah, it's like
not just that,
that's
Dante.
what
A
they go
like.
by.
If a 13-year-old has
Right. Yeah.
the likes, it's like we do things for likes, whether it's embarrassing, whether it's
Hmm.
degrading. We I don't say we, but people who are into that,
People.
they do things for likes on social media, and it kind of belittles your character because you are trying to, again, say, clink this picture that you're one way when in reality you may not be, but all for a like, I'll be what you want me to be. It's just
Yeah.
kind
I
of
think
crazy.
we
It's like an image.
a lot of us grew up with the "I wish a nigga would" mentality, but
Right.
it was still a limit to it. You know what I
Within
mean?
Right.
reason.
Right.
It was
Right.
within
I grew up with
reason. Right.
it's funny, what Courtney just now said. You feel me? And being that we did speak about Tupac briefly, and she asked, "What's wrong with this generation? What's wrong with this generation right now?" Is what Thug Life meant. You feel me?
Yep.
The
Yep.
acronym
The
of
hate
that
you
was the
give.
hate
The
you
hate
give
you
little
give.
infants today fucks
Hmm.
everybody. You feel me?
Yep.
And it's not today. I don't know why I added today in it, but the hate you give little infants fucks everybody. That's what Thug Life meant, and it's true. What we have
Yeah.
embedded, our generation and the generation before our parents and every generation beyond us has created this generation. They are the
Yeah.
Mhm.
offspring of our negative shit. They are the
Yeah.
offspring of fathers not in the house. They are the offsprings of angry mothers. They are the offsprings of angry fathers. They are the offsprings of survival instincts. They are the offsprings of I literally watch fucking I don't know if y'all remember Tremors. You probably do, Tay. Y'all remember Tremors, the movie?
Yeah. The movie. Hmm.
All right, so it's a new one in 2020. These motherfuckers done created a new type of trimmer. You feel me? And this motherfucker could swim and everything.
I think
Like,
I seen
and I was
this.
right. I was like, wow. But that's basically what we have with this Generation Z. These, like
Hmm.
y'all say, they what TTG, they trained to go. This is
Yes.
nothing. They're not doing nothing new. We've been catching bodies forever. This this
Yeah.
this city. We look at our city. Our numbers almost 300 every year, right?
For the
And
last
sometimes
6
it's over
years.
324. This, that, and other. Now, do we not remember the 90s was like this? It just
Hmm.
wasn't as it
Well,
wasn't put out on the news
that
like that. It wasn't broad daylight all the time. It wasn't so many.
but
Um,
there were
you,
some. There were elements.
I
yeah,
was gonna say that, but it was
Yeah.
different. It was. I mean, it still was killing. So I don't want to make an excuse for it, but it was different. Like today is like you can literally die for just walking down the street. Like
Yes.
yeah.
literally,
I mean,
Beeping
like
your
you can just
horn.
die from
Like
walking
Yeah.
down the
I mean,
street.
remember the whole tennis shoe thing? They
Right.
kill you for your shoes. That used to be the big thing.
Yes.
yeah,
If
that
you
Like
buy
used
that's
to
you
be
buy
the
the
your
hats
kids
case.
and
some
all that
Jordans,
shit. I
somebody
mean,
gonna shoot them.
yep.
we talk about it's just not the what's the name. It's just not as broad. It wasn't as broadcast back then because we didn't have social media, and social media is the cause of a lot of killings and deaths now. But shit,
Yeah.
Courtney was talking about the little girl getting banked. You feel me? 13 and shit like that. I remember being in. I was the only one of my crew that was still in middle school. You feel me? So I'm talking seventh and eighth grade, and I remember niggas driving up to my middle school, Northeast Middle, just to fight me. You feel what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So for shit that we was going through with beefing with certain people, but I was hanging with the big guys and shit like that. I got caught slipping. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
That was my
Mhm.
dumbass. Well, not dumbass fault because I had to go to school, but I was involved in shit that I probably shouldn't have been involved in, which raw shit. And not saying the little girl, your friend's daughter was involved with shit. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah. I
saying this
know.
shit has always been happening. It just wasn't as broadcast, and I could take an ass whooping. So if I take an
Yeah.
ass whooping, just like her daughter probably could, you could take an
Mhm.
ass whooping. You feel me? We're all cool with that. They gotta live with this ass whooping for the rest of their life because they done put that shit on
Right.
Facebook
You
and
gonna see it
YouTube
again.
and yeah,
Absolutely.
like I
Right.
probably would have broke too if I got to see my.
Yeah.
I don't want to say violence is the answer, but I
They
can
escalated
see.
everything.
Yeah, I
Right.
Right.
can see how it
And
goes to that route once you done posted it on social media, and I can
mhm.
see why the suicide rates are so high and shit like that. They stress the fuck out. If I gotta watch
Yeah.
myself getting fucking ass whooped, or how many of these little babies? I mean, look at this. How many of this Generation Z? What age would they be? What's the youngest they could be?
What's that?
I think
97,
they
98,
start at 96. I mean, yeah, I'm 26. I
97,
was getting ready to
98
say.
would be I think where it
Yeah.
starts.
All right, so let's skip Generation Z and whatever the next generation is, right? Imagine
Hmm.
how fucked up they're gonna be because they're gonna have to fucking see their
Children.
parents being murdered on
Yeah.
fucking TV,
But
on the internet. Because
but
how many of these people
Mhm.
bodies is
Like
on
George Floyd.
murderinc.com and all
Yeah.
of these other that
Mhm.
shit's gonna be everywhere. So imagine your mental. Imagine your mental if you done seen your father get murdered, or you done seen your
Mhm.
mother get murdered, or you done walked out to that scene, or somebody got that footage of your mother or your father with their brains blown out on the street. Imagine
but
how strong your mental has to be, because now your mental is gonna be on survival of the fullest. If you're still stuck
Yeah.
in those predicaments and those street shit, me and Sydney was speaking about as far as the snitching code and things of that sort. You dig what I'm
Mm.
saying? And I'm like, well, you got to keep in mind a lot of these niggas, a lot of these people come from an environment that they have to move a certain way. You have to move a certain way because you've been taught naturally to
Mhm.
move that fucking way, to avoid certain things, and you've been taught to strike first versus waiting for a nigga to strike.
but
Most of
Yeah.
my homies, believing that, I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. Who the fuck
Right.
wants to die?
But the other side of it is adaptation. Like how many of these things that happen to kids, you're talking about this next generation. So they're going to grow up where all fights are seen online. You know what I mean? They're going to grow up where deaths are seen online. Like they're going to grow up looking at whatever the website is where you can see how many homicides or
Dark
videos
web.
of people getting killed every day. So it's not going to be
Or
the
buy some
shock
fake
to
hair.
them that it is to us if we weren't exposed to that growing up.
Correct.
For them, it's going to be normalized. So it's not going to be as big a deal. They'll adapt to it. Now, that insensitivity that's going to come with it is going to fuck them
Make
up in a
violence
way
worse.
because they're going to say, oh, for me to do something to you, well, shit, I've been saying that forever. That's what I'm supposed to do. You know what I mean? So I think this is almost, and I'm not to bring things into politics, but when they were talking about Biden and everybody with that super predator term that they came up with back in the day. I mean, this is the type of roundtable discussion that kind of makes you wonder, how do you categorize a person that grew up and wouldn't dare do some of the things that you see now, and then a group of people that grow up where getting a gun because somebody said the wrong thing to you or said something online means it's time for you to kill somebody. You got to classify them differently when you're trying to figure out how do you fix it. How do you hit that target and stop them from being that desensitized to hurting other people? It's like you think about you scratching your arm, like you don't want to scratch on your arm, but people now are like getting bullet wounds and thinking nothing of it, or getting credit for it. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's a you remember when the internet first really got popping and people used to do the challenges as far as see who could go the furthest. The first person might put one. It was more the Caucasian people. One firecracker in their ass, and then the next one would be 6 firecrackers in their ass. It was all about going the
like
furthest
Jackass and
extent.
stuff?
Yeah, it was all about going the
Jackass,
furthest
good gosh.
extent.
And I watched it.
Now you have they doing that shit in the street. It's about who's going the furthest extent. Who's man, they catching bodies in broad day, and it's no rules. It's no rules. Who the fuck is teaching the rules? These little kids can't be taught nothing sometimes because they don't feel like y'all even care. And when I say y'all,
and
I
the
mean a
parents
lot of y'all
of the
OG
time,
niggas.
so our parents a lot of times are not much older than them, so they're experimenting still too.
Parents are learning.
What are you gonna do?
You spending time with
if
your
it's
parents
12
learning.
years, if it's 12 years between you and your mother, y'all doing the same damn thing. Y'all might even holler at the same people.
That is literally
I
the
think
problem.
That's also like
that's the problem.
A while ago, we were having a conversation about how can we like the crime rate, like what's the real answer? And I honestly believe that because parenting is getting younger and younger, it's going to be really hard to combat that because what you just said, Dante, like if I'm 12 and I'm having a baby, I can't teach my baby more than I can even understand myself.
Those early years.
So my baby comes up confused, and now we're now breeding generations of confusedness or breeding generations of, it's okay to take advantage of the system or whatever you are, however you're living your life. If you are young, not mature enough to be able to teach another human being how to live their life, you're only causing a vicious cycle to start. It is never going to end because until somebody wakes up and say, hey, look, we got to stop doing X, Y, and Z. But then when you have music and you got social media and you have all these different influences telling you this is the way to go, this is cool, you get caught up in it. So it becomes like I always say today, I don't like today's rap. I can't get with it. I don't think talk about nothing. I don't want to hear about this bitch, this whole drugs and guns. I want to hear about other things. Let's tell a story. Let's talk about something that we can learn from. And because musicians have the ability to influence the masses and they can influence younger generations, I think it's very sad that they don't take that platform and preach positivity, but instead preaching about picking up this gun, getting this kind of respect. And it's like, it sounds fun and it sounds like it's going to sell, but what you don't realize is you're just feeding that
people are actually
to somebody who's 7 and 8, and now when they go to 13 and 14, think that shit is okay. And then
you're giving them the permission to do it.
Well, we got songs from the 60s that talked about, that promoted pussy. And
but it was the rarity of
but listen, hold up, listen. I never agree with censorship of music, and this is why.
Right.
Because it is a form of speech, freedom of speech, and people get to create however they want, and we can't stop that. We didn't stop Picasso for painting whatever the fuck he painted, and we didn't stop fucking Sinatra from singing whatever the fuck he wanted to sing. You understand what I'm saying? We only talk
Right.
about this censorship when it comes to African American cultured music, and I know it's a lot of Caucasians that do it, but again, I'm giving hip hop to us. That's us. Now, when we talk about censorship of music, we also, and I think it's one of the things that Cardi B spoke of. She spoke on the aspect of it's out there. If you want good music and positivity music, it is out there. Will Smith just dropped the album recently, didn't he? I mean, it's shit out there. It's
Right.
not. You can't blame the artists who choose to do that the X type of music for the downbringing of the whole community, because
No.
it's also no. But listen. I understand it's your pick, it's your niche. That's not your niche. Me personally, I listen to country music all day. That's my favorite fucking genre of music. You feel me? But reality, I get on that trap shit too, and I love it. I love what that shit doing. But I'm also the type of nigga. I wasn't the guy that listened to hit him up and wanted to go shoot niggas. So
Right.
that's just my mental.
It's your
But
mental,
Ty,
yeah.
but check it out. You also got to look at you're starting at a much younger generation now, and your parents were a lot older. So what I'm saying is, if I'm 12 and I have a baby and I'm listening to Cardi B, I think that shit cool. So I got my kid thinking it's cool to be pussy popping on the handstand. But if I'm 27, 31 years old, no, that's not cool for a 12-year-old to hear. I'm not going to allow my kid to hear that kind of music. So I don't want that kind of influence. But when you know
Well,
better, you do better. If you
that
don't
makes
know, you
sense.
can't teach.
That makes sense to not let them, and that's part of the problem. Is
Well,
they're
yeah,
still
and that's
singing.
the other
But
side of
today,
it.
you're not stopping your kids from listening to anything, and I can promise you, because guess what? When they get to school, they're going straight, and it's a nigga that came from the school system. They're going straight to fucking YouTube, and they're looking at all that. All their friends. The only way you're gonna stop them is if you can keep them in a box for the rest of their life, and you never allow them to get any type of outside input. Other than that, you can't. So what we have to do is learn to raise our children to be responsible, freely thinkers, self-thinkers, to make their right decisions, because this shit is forever going to exist. So we talk about you being 12 or whoever being 12. At 12 years old, my favorite group, and my pops could vouch, my favorite group, you feel me, was Bone Thugs and Harmony. You understand what I'm saying now? They had the original Crossroads, and I ain't talking about the one that y'all got on the radio. It was an original version of the Crossroads. You feel me? That talked about death. I love this fucking group because at 12 and 11, I was already losing friends in the street. I already had homies that was dead. We were already being shot at. We were already running a block. We might have not been no drug kingpins or no gangsters like that, but we was already out there. You feel me? So these are reality for some people. My children don't have to deal with that at 12, 13. You feel me? But I also didn't have to deal with that. But we have to realize what communities we are raising these children in. So these communities that we're raising these children in are also back to the communities that have to go to school with these same children. My children ain't got to hear cursing in the house. They can still come home and curse. You know why? Because they going to school, and this is who the fuck they're around. They're around little Justine, who Shaniqua had at 12. You know, they're around her, and not no disrespect to Shaniqua or no shit like that, because I got some homegirls that had kids young, and their children grew up to blossom and be wonderful in life. I mean, more successful than us. You know, so I'm not knocking that, and I'm not saying it can't happen. What I'm saying is we can't put the blame on the type of music that they do, because it's us as parents to teach them to think. Yo, my father didn't have to. He tried to stop me from listening. Y'all remember parental advisory stickers was very important growing up.
Yep.
Now I don't
13
think
and
they give a
over.
fuck, because everything is fucking on the internet.
That's
so
how
it really
you know
doesn't
what the
matter.
good stuff is.
Yep.
Now.
Exactly. So I remember a
But
time
I'm,
that
but
my
I'm
father.
not blaming music by saying I'm not saying that music is the reason why. But what I am saying is because we are in a very crucial point, especially in the African American community, where violence is at an all-time high for many different reasons. All I'm saying is it would be nice for artists who have big platforms to preach positivity and to preach messages that helps the masses and help the cause move forward. Because I
But
understand you
that
have
goes
to
back
talk about
to.
whatever you want. But
listen
if
though,
you
Sydney, that goes back to the what's the name? It goes back to a post that I seen recently with the WNBA versus the NBA, and they tried
Correct.
to make this whole sexual thing of men are getting paid extra. It was a big number. You feel me?
Yeah,
I'm
I
talking
seen it.
millions
Couple
and
million.
millions.
Right.
And then they was like,
But they
women are
sell
being
more,
paid.
right?
Yeah, oh yeah. Tell you get where I'm going.
That's
So then
exactly
they was
right.
like,
Absolutely.
women are only being paid XYZ. Who the fuck is going to see a WNBA game? You can't be mad
Right.
at the niggas
But,
because they fucking getting fan base. Like, and that's the same thing with the hip hop. Hip hop, yo, it is literally, yo, it's if you want to find positive rap, I could fucking send you 100 fucking artists. Guess how many listens they get?
Yeah, and that's
They
the
don't
thing. I
have
mean,
a platform. They don't choose their
you definitely
platform. The
can't blame the
platform is
artist.
small. The
Right, you
platform is
can't.
You
small
can't
because ain't
blame the artist
nobody
because
listening to that shit.
you're telling them why don't you come out
think
with a
that
bad
we
album? That's what you're
I
telling
do
them.
think that we do have like people who are like known that like I mean I feel like Wale's music is very much positive and pro black. Nipsey's music was, you know, it
J.
was hustful,
Cole.
but it was J. Cole is very influential. Kendrick Lamar can be very you know,
Political.
positive and influent and political. Yeah, you know, so I do think that we do have some people who are using that platform to give both, you know what I mean? Like some music can be a little off, but then they do have their music where they are trying to, I guess, put that into the universe. But it's just like you were saying, I mean, just the younger generation, they just cling more towards this
Right, they're going to find what they're looking for.
music. You know
Right.
what I mean? That I agree with you. I don't really,
And it doesn't even
I
have
will
to.
say in a party setting, like I will listen to that type of,
Right,
you know
in
what
the
I'm saying?
club,
Like
yeah,
in a
right,
party
right.
setting, like I get it. That is the type of music that you get a little, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
whatever too. But just on some like, let me put this on
In
and
my
listen,
car,
or like
ride
this
to the
what I'm
store.
listening to.
Right.
I know. But I agree with you though. Like it does have its moments, but it definitely is not what I would prefer to listen to either.
We have it. Y'all know what Wale? Y'all know what Wale and J. Cole biggest beef is?
What's
Does
that?
anybody know?
No.
So J. Cole and Wale was friends, and they probably still are friends or whatever. And J. Cole did the False Idols, I believe that was the name of the song when he talked about Kanye, and he also spoke about Wale. And hip hop listeners, if I'm wrong, y'all could tell me, but this is what I read on it. The verse with him speaking about how he has a friend that's never satisfied as far as he doesn't get the love that he feels as though he deserves. I feel what y'all saying about Wale. We do realize Wale ain't no big fella, right? Wale ain't
No,
packing
he's
no
not.
fucking
Like you know
venue.
who he is,
I
and then
don't know
you
why.
leave.
Wale got fucking Seinfeld on his album, and he still ain't packing venues. We also got to keep in mind Kendrick Lamar. I mean, y'all named him as positivity. Do we not realize Kendrick Lamar talk a lot of gang shit?
Yeah.
I said both.
But we
I
not saying
said
you
both.
can't.
I said
Good
both.
Kid, Bad Kid. What was it? Good Kid, Bad Kid. That's the first album or whatever.
With
Kendrick
the
Lamar spoke
van.
about.
Yeah,
he spoke about his life. So it's kind of all right. Here we are again with this living in a pothole. You live in this pothole where nothing but fire and dirt exists, right? You grow up inside this pothole, and it's nothing but fire and dirt. You can't really expect a motherfucker to come out that shit rapping about water. He ain't seen water. He know fire and fucking dirt. So he's rapping about. I mean, keep in mind, music for most is a projection. It's a story. I'm telling a story of my life. You know, and which was again, I love to bring references to my own rap career, my own failed rap career. My biggest problem with my music was I love to tell my story. They didn't want to hear that. They want to hear it not in story format. They just want to hear you talk that shit. I could never do that the way that they wanted it done. You feel me? But keep in mind, they wanted to hear you talk what they see. You know, Nas has one of the best songs with Ron Isley, and he speaks about looking out of my project window. This is what hip hop is. Hip hop was born inside the gutter. You know, and it's a hip hop is a nigga with a notepad and he's writing what he sees. They don't see flowers. They don't see positivity. They don't see that. I mean, you have some that do. I mean, even when we talk about, listen, one of the best lyricists right now, one of the best lyricists in the world ever fucking made, can't sell a fucking record, which is Lupe Fiasco. You know why? Because he wanted to push his way into fucking hip hop, and that shit ain't work. Nigga ain't want to hear about no black nigga skating.
But Pharrell did
it. Lyrically, nigga, Pharrell never had black people love. Pharrell is the John Legend of hip hop. He what's the name?
And then he Afro punk though. I feel like Pharrell, is he classified as hip hop or would he be
no,
Afro
hell no. But
punk?
keep in mind what Pharrell has. Pharrell has grinding, but you know it, keep in
Oh
the
yeah.
line.
Okay.
That
So
we got to
That's
keep
when
in
hot
mind
now.
back in the day,
with
Pharrell.
yeah, the original for well, I mean, saying that he's the same nigga. He's always been eclectic and all of that shit. What I'm
Yeah.
saying is his big shit, Pharrell big shit, that wasn't, it's hip hop, it's hood shit. They talking about
It's
drug shit.
happy.
He's just not talking about
His
it.
biggest
You
shit
feel
is
me? Now,
happy.
then you got
Right.
his solo shit, which
Uh-huh.
is happy and things of that sort. But black people,
Mhm.
I mean, we loved it and shit. It reached out, it crossed over. But keep in mind,
Right.
his audience was so big that it's wide. But his nigga shit, he still made nigga shit. I mean, he did. Oh no, Noriega. He did the fucking
Mhm.
That's a
what else?
talented
Master
dude.
P and them shit. You feel
Mhm.
me? Pharrell was fucking with the gangsters. So he got the love for the gangsters. He's Kanye West. Backpack and walk inside the studio looking geeky as fuck. We let you slide because hey, you do got those nice ass beats. But what I'm saying about hip hop is I understand why these young niggas is rapping about what the fuck they rapping about. Because I understand what it is to be inside these environments and you can't dream out. So
All right, let me ask you one question, Ty. Okay, cool. That works for the person who actually live in, but we also talked about earlier in this episode that's not what you live in, but that's what you're putting out there as your perception of your image. So for that person, you're not talking about your life. You're not talking about your story. You talking about what you saw in somebody else's story, somebody else, like you just trying to sell music. So to that individual, it's a different ball game than you in a pothole. That's now, oh, I had maybe a life of privilege or a life or whatever, but I know that don't sell. So let me go to the gut and talk about shit that is going to sell. It's like, but why does negativity? Why does that sell harder than shit that can move a generation forward? We're
I
already
don't
in a
think
fucking
that
predicament.
I don't think that majority. All right, so again, I believe that hip hop is about the nigga sitting in the window writing out his notepad. Understand whether it is what he doing firsthand or what he sees first. I mean secondhand or however the fuck that's situated.
So there you go.
What I am saying is I don't think a lot of kids come from privilege that's jumping into hip hop.
Mhm.
And I do know it exists. You feel me? So let's say that I never picked up Tyron Hill never picked up a drug in my life, right? I never picked up a gun in my life. Guess what? I still know it firsthand or secondhand because it's right there in my face. So I
Right.
can still tell that story. I mean, it's just like the nigga that can write movies or books. This is a story. You're telling from you're speaking to your people. And sadly, I think that artists would listen to me. I think that artists would create whatever the fuck the request is. But we got to keep in mind the request is not positivity.
Right.
The
Right.
request is nigga shit. They
But
want that
Right.
that's
nigga
what I
shit.
said. That's what I think is the sad part of the mentality. Because the request is negativity. And like Jim
You
was
only
saying,
have
what
corner
you put
stores in
out
your
there in
neighborhood
the
because y'all
environment, what you
motherfuckers
gonna
go to
get
corner
back.
stores.
Huh?
Yeah.
You only have corner stores in your neighborhood because y'all motherfuckers go to corner stores. You
Correct.
only have fucking sub shops in your neighborhood because we go to sub shops.
Correct.
Literally, it's music is
So
the
for your
same
liquor
thing as
stores,
any other
right?
business. It's liquor stores. The music. Why don't you
So
see
you
gun shops
saying
on
that
your
it's
corners?
demand?
Do y'all think
Yeah,
that we
it's
don't
supply
see
and
gun
demand. I
shops
mean, it's
because
capitalism.
Yeah.
we don't see gun shops on our corners? No, why? Because them shits don't fucking sell. We get illegal guns.
Right.
If a nigga
No.
could open up
They
a
not on
legal
that
gun
corner because
store,
they don't
it
want
would
us
be
to have the shit. That's why they not on that corner.
no. That's not
No,
true because
listen.
we
They,
get.
It,
I got my license and all
if
that
you could
shit with
get
no
15,
problem.
if you
I'm
could
not
get
saying you
50
can't.
niggas
No,
together to get
I
gun
didn't say you
licenses, they'll
can't
put
get your
one on
license.
North
I just
Avenue.
said gun stores aren't on the corner in black neighborhoods because the white people don't want us to be equipped like them
No,
to
because
have the
niggas
neighborhood.
don't have fucking gun license.
Actually,
Right.
they
They
I mean,
can't
don't.
pass. They can't pass the test. They can't pass it.
that's the
That
problem. Like everything in life is supply and demand. So I don't want you to think I don't get what you're saying. I do, but we got to keep in mind, I'm trying to feed my baby with this hip hop song. So I got two choices. I can make
make
Niecy,
yourself or make
or I could make some ignorant shit.
I
Fuck
get
that.
it.
Right.
I'm probably gonna go with the ignorant shit because I want my
Right.
shows to be packed. I want that shit. It's not
I
my
get that.
duty, and I used to hate when I hear you're a role model. Speak from this. No, the fuck he ain't. Would he be a role model without his microphone? Then why the fuck is he a role model? What did he do that's role model? Your age don't make you a role model. You have to fucking do something to become a role model. And they be trying to put that role model title on artists just because they're artists. No, that's not. You haven't done nothing. What made you a role model? We want too much from these artists.
role model today is synonymous with platform. If you have a following, you are a role model.
Well,
Unfortunately,
see,
that's how it goes, especially with social
but
media. If you have a following, you are a role model. People
It
are
is, and
looking
that's
to you,
sad.
looking. It is very bad, but that's the reality we live in.
But we
If
can't
you
get the
got
chicken and the egg thing
13,000
mixed up.
followers, you are a role model to that generation. Like,
It
and that's
still has to
sad.
come. It still has to come from one way or another. So you can't say, okay, there's an audience out there that's hungry for a specific thing. So you take an artist that they're already a fan of, and you force them to go into a different genre and sing something with no curse words and no this, that, and the other. Well, what you're gonna get is a dropped artist. You're gonna get
Right,
somebody
right,
that they not following no more. So
right.
you're not gonna get them to really down. If you have some more positive people, you know, come on the song, like you start promoting other people along with what you got, that's a different thing. But you it really can't come from the artist, and it can't come from you forcing somebody to like
Correct.
something else that's more positive. I think it really has to come more from let's say the home, where you say, well,
Right.
you have to separate the things that you listen to, the movies that you watch, from what is our reality. But then you got to give them a more positive reality. You know,
Correct.
like I never cursed around my daughter when she was growing up. It was, you know, it's just the way I was. So
Right.
I started cursing more and more as she got older. And when it's not that she never heard curse words,
Right.
but the thing I
It was
explained to
very
her,
bad.
because if I slipped and got mad, I'm on the phone, I'm saying like fuck, and she's like, I'm like, oh my
Daddy.
fault, baby. She's like,
Mhm.
Daddy, I don't
Mhm.
care. You know what I mean? Because she hears cuss words, but that's
Mhm.
not how I wanted her home to be. You know, I always
Mhm.
wanted it to be that, you know, what your experience is outside. You know, if I take her to a hair salon and people doing whatever they're doing, or I take over a friend's house and somebody braid my daughter's hair, they're going to talk how they talk. That's their house.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? And that's fine. But I just wanted her to know that doesn't have to be your reality. You
Everywhere.
can
Correct.
visit places
Mhm.
and not live there. And a lot of
That's
people
that. What's the
can
name?
compartmentalize to say what I'm listening to is different than what I am, because what they're listening to is how everybody around them is.
Correct.
You know what I mean? The
Hmm.
shit
I
that they
agree.
hear on the radio
Is
or
their reality for
on the
real?
music that they bought, that they download. I'm talking about radio, like everybody listens to radio. Is But then the nigga that they just talked to a few minutes ago is the same nigga. He using the same
Mhm.
language. He talking the
Mm-hmm.
same shit, and he talking about a group of other motherfuckers that were the same way too. So there's no
Right.
reason to separate, because that's their world. They're just
And
listening
I
to
think no,
somebody
see, I
talk
think
about
that's
their own
the
world.
box that's how like I'm a parent like you. Like I don't cuss around my daughter or even around my son. I don't even when she hears I'm talking to an adult, like if she happens to overhear this podcast, right?
Right.
And I say a cuss word, she'd be like, Mommy, you said a cuss word. And I'm like, I'm sorry, Madison. So in her mind, like you say, she hears cuss words from other
Yeah.
people, but here at home, that's not what she used to.
There's
So that kind
another
of
way to do it. Right.
that
But see,
kind of
that's
goes
the
Mhm.
into the what Ty was
that's the
talking about.
building.
Maybe we do keep our kids in a quote unquote box, but to me, the box is a sense of safety, if that makes
No,
sense.
Right.
but
Like you
that's
don't
the
have
same
to be
feel.
exposed, huh?
That's the same feel for the music. You're teaching your child, like what Dante was saying. He taught her it exists. I'm not
Right,
sheltering you from that word.
Right.
It exists.
right,
Go in there. Hey, but he's so firm in what he believes, the way that he raised her, to think that he can put a fucking earphones on her with this music saying "fuck you, bitch, suck a dick," and it doesn't when she take it off. It's not gonna make her want to be a bitch that's
Right.
pussy
right,
popping on a handstand. You get what I'm
Right. It's
saying? So
not. It
we
better
have to
not
teach
happen
them to
because I
be
won't have a daughter.
yeah. We have to teach them to be free thinkers. That's what we got to teach
Right.
our children. And once because I mean, me and Courtney grew up in the same family. Court, you ever remember a time you ain't hear cuss words?
Mm-mm.
I don't fucking
Nope.
remember a time I ain't hear cuss words. So
Right.
you know, it's to each his or. I mean, to each his own. But it
Right.
didn't make me want to go in school and cuss my teacher out. I have not one
Yeah.
experience in school cussing a teacher out. You
right,
know
Right.
what I mean?
Exactly.
So
Right.
those things is I was taught that you got to be a free thinker. You got to think for yourself. You'll never allow. I
Hmm.
mean, you never allow people to control what you do. So I've
right,
seen
Mhm.
the listen to something. You know, I've seen the listen to something music wise negative, and I've seen the change in niggas' eyes. I've seen them try
Yeah.
to do
Yeah.
something. But guess what? How do I not know that if they would have listened to Billy Bob Thornton talk about riding his fucking truck over a cliff, that they wasn't going to do that? Because it seems like a lot of people, when if we give music this strong power of control, then we have to realize they're controlling the weak individuals. Because I've never wanted to
Mhm.
do what the fuck I heard
But
in the
then you
song.
I
also are
mean,
creating it
Yeah.
too. See, that's the
yeah, it's
you
the
can't
difference though.
separate it, because it's
Yeah,
not just about you just go give this one kid that's growing up in a completely different world this group of music, and then it's going to corrupt them. I don't think that's so much it. But
right,
if the what's happening is that everybody, I mean, you walk down North Avenue, if everybody's talking a certain way, that's who they are now. If the things that they have in common keeps them together, you know, if you can have somebody from Chicago who been on a hip hop shit and a person from North Avenue who on a hip hop shit, just come and talk about the exact same thing. They are in the exact same place. You have a subsection. You have a subsection of our society who can't elevate as far as like on a communication level. They can't elevate beyond talking street shit. Like they just can't do it. If you put them in a different environment, they don't know how to handle themselves because they're used to this baseline
That's all they know.
Communication that they don't know what else to do with it. And then of course it still goes to what happens to the young girls that are doing the same. Some of them doing the same thing or liking the same thing. And then now they accepted one of these niggas into the house and they sitting on your couch saying, you know what I'm saying? You know, me and your daughter, you know what I mean? I'm feeling her. You're like, get the fuck out of my house before I shoot you. It's like,
why you trying to carry me like that, dummy?
Right, exactly. Because they don't know. And then because they don't have the range of what's right, what's wrong, what's good, what's bad. So them saying certain things, you know what I mean? It's like a kid cussing around a girl mother. Like you go over a girl house, you like, man, shit, I don't fuck with none of them other bitches. I just be with your daughter, like for real. You know what I mean? It's like he don't even realize he think he said a good thing.
Right.
That's the problem. They don't have anything to compare it to.
What you mean? This my only bitch ain't a good thing?
Right. That's right.
And that's the sad part. That is.
But then
again, we can't. We have to go back to parenting with it. I just don't want to put that weight on music, you know. And I also got to keep in mind, music comes with
you gotta understand that music is real and music influences, whether it's a good or a bad influence.
But music is an imitation of life. Music is an imitation of life that's lived. So it's not music's fault, but it's it's a connecting tissue.
So I don't want you to give. All right. So what I'm saying about it though is we can't. We can't. What's the name?
Say again, Ty.
That's what I'm saying because we just what I'm saying is we can't put that on the artist. The artists are only. I mean that's sort of like. I mean go right back to this. Go back to this. You can't be mad at Kim Sue because she puts a lot of fucking salt and now you got high cholesterol. It's your ass fault for going to her fucking store buying these subs and fries.
I was trying to figure out who Kim Sue was. I just realized who Kim Sue
was.
Mom, we gonna call her Mama Sue. Look, Mama Sue, you know, we can't be mad at her. It's not her fault.
It's not.
It's your fault. You know, it's sort of like you're mad at the person who sells the gun.
But put it like this: how many Chinese?
How many fucking person who shot the fucking gun?
How many Asian girls at the corner store you see get pregnant from the dudes that come to the store? It don't happen. It don't happen.
They teaching them that shit. No matter
they are able to separate them kids from the environment that they're in. Yes, we use this for money. These people are just to bring us money. They're not to bring us anything else. You're not gonna stand outside and smoke with them.
Kids in your school?
Yo, they ain't gonna be there.
Kim Sue's daughter was 7 years old working the register.
Right.
Listen to me.
Kim
Sue's daughter was 7 years old working at the register. I never seen her at the school with us.
Never. And she won't be. And she shouldn't be.
Another point. Like it's said, like I say, I'm not saying this because I'm anti-black, love my people, but at the end of the day, every other race or nationality seems to be able to come together and upbuild their own, but us. We are the most divisive, tearing down.
I totally agree.
Well, we don't have a connected country of origin either.
We don't have those resources either that a lot of them get. They get a lot of help.
We don't.
We don't have a connected country of origin. We're so separated from Africa or anything. We don't have anything else. So
I was told if you look into any place where people don't have money, housing, jobs, you will find violence. And it's true, no matter what the color is.
Yep.
So we got to keep in mind that those things, with music, I love music. I think that the artist does not, but I think artists are held to a responsibility now, and I think it's hard because the camera never goes off. So you have Tupac Shakur, for instance, you know, who, if we all know, Tupac is my favorite artist, but let's just keep in mind, Tupac wasn't doing shit but telling a story many times because one minute he graduated high school, one minute he's a dropout from high school, one minute he's talking to his kid, then he's talking to an unborn kid, then he's talking to I never would have kids. You know, he's a thug in one. He's Brenda has a baby in another one. He's poetic. He's literally America. He's the slums, and that's what made him so great. You know, he's everything. But it was never, you never got Tupac Amari Shakur fully. You always got a piece of him, whether it's somebody else's story or his. You know, Pac tells you he sold drugs, then he tells you he never sold drugs. You know, the friends that I know that know Tupac and shit, I got a whole different light of who this guy was.
Look,
He was
NWA say they don't smoke weed or sass because it's gonna give a brother brain damage.
Exactly. You know, you got artists that don't do none of that shit, you know, and they still out there. You know what I mean? Lil Wayne was going to get a college degree and still talking that street shit. 2 Chainz graduated like top of his fucking class. You know, you had it was times that you could turn music off. These younger generation, you know, they're growing up where the live is always on Instagram. It's on. Everybody got a fucking camera. I can never turn it off and just be.
And you just supposed to be okay if you want it too. Like they walk around with the camera, they showing you everybody they talk to, they showing you everything they did.
So you doing a lot of shit because you have to totally keep your image up. You know, I used to listen to certain artists that talk about, you know, once I get off stage, I turn this artist off. These dudes can't do that shit. They're constantly under the scruple of being judged. And keep in mind, it's just like the streets when you're in this music. Once you being seen weak, they're gonna know that you're weak. You know, a Tupac today, I don't think could make it. I don't think a person that could be uplifting every 1 second and then down rating, you know, negativity, violence, and all that shit the next second. I don't think will make it. They want that shit that they want. The people that want positivity, they're going to a positive lane. I mean, let's keep in mind, you know, music still sells on an underground scene, and it's positive artists out there. You know, it's women out there. Me and Dante talk about it all the time. It is so many fucking R&B artists that are not being seen, and rap artists, females that are not being seen.
But they're doing shows all the time.
They're not talking about ass. They're not talking about titties. So when I hear the fan base talk about they need to do X, Y, Z, I get irritated with it because it's literally a lane for that. It's a lane for everything you want. It's a fucking lane for niggas rapping about spaceships. It's a lane. This shit is like podcast. You feel me? If you can't say, you can't go into a podcast and say, I'm just tired of the hip hop talking on podcast. Get the fuck off the hip hop genre then. Like it's easy. That's their genre. It's literally a podcast out there. You feel me? That does my homeboy got a podcast that's all about fucking comics and magazines. You dig what I'm saying? I'll never watch that shit. You feel me? But Dante might fucking love it. You know what I mean? Like, and their shit is different. So, and we played their song on here. Fuck. I'm thinking of anyway, we played their rap song on here. You know, and they talk about different shit. They not talking about killing people and selling drugs and shit. Shout out to Pinpoint. You feel me? They got they got their whole little podcast about the comics and shit. Like, it's a genre for everything. But I can't get mad when I go on a country station and why they all singing like this? Like, the fuck?
Why everybody got a twang?
I mean, that's true. You can't get mad when you go to that specific avenue and get mad when you get what's there. But I do feel like I should be, but I know it's not reality. I should be able to go mainstream and hear something from each segment. But you can't. Like you said, it's underground. You got to do your research.
Kids Bop has been jumping for 20 years, yo.
Yeah, really. I had the CDs in my car. Absolutely.
No bullshit. I'm telling you, every time I go on my shit. So me and Keisha has this thing, you know, and we fuss about it, you know, because Keisha is a trap star. You know, she wants to hear her trap music and shit like that. She come home. It'd be 6 months late, but she be on that shit. You know, she's still talking about Tatiana and shit. So, you know, she be on that shit like late. And I be telling her like, yo, you know, this, that, and another with the kids. Don't let them listen to it. But in my car, I mean, I'm listening to country shit like that, you know. But I cuss way more than her. So it's sort of like all we can do is all we can do is realize we ain't the greatest individuals, but we can make our children be, and we can be positive enough.
And you reinforce positive actions, right?
Our parents did drugs growing up. You feel me? Me and Courtney parents and our aunts and uncles and shit, cousins, whatever, all that shit. You know, they did more partying. than we did as a family. They partied as a family type shit. It doesn't mean that we necessarily got to do what our parents did. It just means they had to raise us as good enough to know to be an individual and make your own choices. I don't want to cut y'all off, but we are at an hour and 15 minutes. I want to thank you three for coming on the Cards Face Up podcast. As always, y'all are the greatest. I want to thank all of our listeners. Please continue to listen, stream. It costs you nothing to subscribe on anywhere you get your podcast from. This is Cards Face Up podcast, episode number 20. We thank you for rocking with us. Y'all have a blessed week. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.
All right.
Bye.
Guys.